The Kidnapped Prom Queen is a book that I have written. It was originally done as a video game, and now I've released it in book format. There are three different pathways to this book. The premise is that the prom queen has been kidnapped. In fact, the entire prom committee has been kidnapped. You're one of the committee members. You need to solve puzzles and escape the gym along with the other people in the committee. You solve puzzles, you find clues, you figure out who the culprit is. All three of the pathways have a totally different culprit and a totally different victim. So, my favorite part of actually writing this book, besides for coming up with the puzzles and stuff, was the characters. I just had a lot of fun with all these high school characters and putting them together. So let me just talk about the characters, because I really liked them. Vice Principal Smothers was the very strict and kind of incompetent guy who's basically running the prom queen committee, and he really should have retired like 15 years ago. He is pretty much fed up with high schoolers, which is a shame because he's always dealing with them. We also have Steve Stevens. He is the football star. He is the football star, but the team hasn't won a single game this year. I just like his name, Steve Stevens. I thought he's like a friend, a buddy guy. I also like Mallory Pike, who's the girl who's obsessed with her... Mallory Ramsey is the girl who's obsessed with her phone, and she's always playing on her phone all day long. That's cool. Alejandro is sort of a mystery. He's an exchange student from Spain, and in some of the pathways, he's actually swapped out with a different exchange student. Something goes wrong with the kidnapper's plan. He's switched out with Junshiro. That's something else which is different between the video game and this book. In the game, you can pick your character's gender. You can pick your character's name, but that's not the case here in this book. I had to choose what the characters' names were, so I went with my intended version of the character, which is a female named Akimi Karashi. So other characters we have here is Elena. So that is the best friend character. She's one of the prom queens. She gets kidnapped in one of the storylines. And in another one of the storylines, she's a major character. She's one of the people that you solve puzzles with. Because I liked her character so much, I decided to have more of her in one of the other storylines. I did write the three storylines separately. Let's see, another storyline, Claudia Barrett. She's one of the prom queens. She is the debate captain. And she's sort of somebody you don't really know a whole lot about. You haven't heard of her before. The third prom queen, Nancy Spear, who is the cheerleader. She's dating Steve Stevens. And I actually had to change her hair color. She was originally going to have red hair. I was going to have her be a redhead named Nancy, like Nancy Drew. But I changed it to black hair for the book to match this cover. Because, you know, I obviously wrote it before I did the cover. So I changed it, and now she has black hair instead of red hair. Because that's her on the cover. Let me read the summary here. And I'll read from the first page. Terror strikes Franklin High School when the prom queen is kidnapped the same day her name is announced. You and the rest of the prom committee members soon find yourselves trapped in the school, held hostage by the scheming kidnapper. The only way to escape is to solve puzzles, search for clues, and go along with the culprit's twisted game. But could the villain be closer than you think? I believe in one or maybe even more than one pathway. The culprit is one of the people who has been kidnapped. The culprit pretended to kidnap themselves in order to look innocent. So there are three different pathways, as I said, each with a different victim and each with a different culprit. There are over 20 different puzzles to solve. There are 7 puzzles in each pathway and a final puzzle in the final ending, which is at the end of the book. You interact with an interesting cast of high schoolers. You need to figure out the meaning of the kidnapper's clues. Suspense, mystery, and secrets abound as you investigate. Could one of your friends be working with the culprit? That's the basic premise of the game. I will read from page 1. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's over 200 pages. It's very long. You always knew senior year of high school was going to be tough, but you never thought you'd be kidnapped. When the prom queen was kidnapped, that was bad enough. The entire student body of Franklin High was rocked to its core. Who would hurt someone over prom? What person was so desperate they'd resort to kidnapping the prom queen? Was it a kidnapping? Or was it something worse? You tried to comfort yourself, tried to trick yourself into thinking you were safe. Yes, there was a kidnapper on the loose, but the police would catch them soon. The prom queen would be rescued and brought home safely. The culprit would go to jail, and that would be the end of the story. Besides, it's not like the culprit would go after you, right? You didn't do anything wrong. You're just trying to do your job. When I signed up for prom committee, no one mentioned I'd become a potential target for crazy kidnappers, you think to yourself. That's a little taste of the start of the book. So if you're interested, I would recommend buying the book or checking out the video game. There is a free demo of the video game. If you want to read a little more and you're not sure if you want to buy it or not, well, check out the demo or check out a sample of the book. They basically are the same thing. It's the same story. But either way, thank you very much for watching.